Hello everyone, that's in today's video. Going to have a look at weather next week, 10 days for today's video. It's going to take us to around the 24th of May. So we're going well into the second part of the month with the updates now. A lot of high pressure to come. We're going to have plenty of high pressure this week, and we're going to have a quick look at the Pressurefest V2 at the end of the video as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of high pressure going through, possibly even into the early part of June also. So a bit of a high pressure fest on today's video update. I just have been asked about doing a update for some festivals that's coming up over the bank holiday weekend. Of course, we started last night the countdown to the late spring bank holiday weekend. So update one of that, or of those, was last night. I have the second one tomorrow night, but tonight, over this weekend, there's going to be a lot of festivals going on. Festival season going to start cranking up again for another summer over this late spring bank holiday weekend. So I'll have a quick look at a couple of festivals for that tonight. But we'll get on with your week to 10 day update video now. So you can start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, of the GFS, which we'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is area in actually high pressure, low pressure, are being drowned by the jet stream. Red extrapolates to high pressure, blue to low pressure. So with the ECMWF, we've got a big area of above average height sitting to the east and the northeast of the country. We have got quite a big area below average heights in the central part of the northern Atlantic as well. But I think the high pressure, the above average heights, holding its own and holding off this low pressure. So the jet stream, indicated by the black lines, that's going off up there, and a little bit of energy is going down there. So perhaps not completely dry, maybe some showery bursts coming through at times. But essentially, the high pressure to the northeast is in control. And the GFS is very similar, actually, but even more so. So again, we have this area below average heights in the northern part of the Atlantic. But the main driver for us is actually this ridge that's sitting up to the northeast. And so the jet stream again coming across the Atlantic like that, and then being pushed off up there with a little bit of energy going down there as well. But essentially the high pressure is in control, and so in the 7 to 10 day time frame you can expect a lot of dry weather with the winds coming from a southeasterly or easterly direction, probably fairly warm and dry conditions going into the third week of May. GFS temperature precipitation ensembles looking like this. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. And we're looking at Hereford in the Midlands today. So warmer than average at the moment. I'm going to stay that way for tomorrow. A couple of warm days staying tomorrow. A little bit of a blip over the middle part of the week. We do see the temperature dropping a little bit then. Nothing to be overly concerned about, but it will be a bit cooler, particularly so at night, around middle part of the week. But from the end of the week into weekend and then on to next week, actually going quite warm, once again, with temperatures going above average. As far as precipitation is concerned, loads of dry weather coming up over the next week. Yes, there are a few precipitation spikes in there, but they're not amounting to too much, and overall I think they expect predominantly dry conditions in the week ahead. This extended period does look a little bit more unsettled. We have got some precipitation spikes coming through then. That's maybe some of that energy I was talking about on the height only flow chart, some of the energy beginning to undercut the ridge that's to the northeast. So as we go into the third week of May, potentially we might start to see something a little bit more showery, and then that might progress into more unsettled conditions perhaps for the final week of May. And that's this period just here. Does look quite unsettled by then, although do bear in mind that it is right at the extended range of the ensemble, and so therefore it is very unreliable. Service temperatures are looking like this for Hereford. So we've got 20 degrees up here, 10 degrees there, 0 degrees just there. Pretty warm with our maximums at the moment, approaching 20 degrees. They do decline a bit at the, in the middle part of the week, going down to the low to mid-teens Celsius. But then later in the week, over the weekend, the temperatures are recovering, getting quite close to 20 degrees once again. And we keep that warm theme going pretty much through most of the ensemble, really. Perhaps late on, there's a little bit of a decline showing up just there. But overall, looking quite warm, really. once we get this midweek cooler interlude out of the way. Temperature anomalies looking like this. I'm going to go to tropicaltidbits.com for the temperature anomalies for today's video. The usual anomaly charts I use aren't working. These are the days, days 1 to 5. Temperature anomalies, so coming out close to average for England and Wales, and excuse me, a little bit warmer than average up in the north. Generally it's a bit cooler in the west of Europe, and it's warmer in the north and the northeast of Europe. The days 2 to 6 temperature anomalies look like that. Again, a little bit warmer up in the, warmer than average up in the north of the country, a little bit closer to average, or perhaps even a bit cooler than average days 2 to 6 in the south and the southeast. That continues days 3 to 7. And then as we go to sort of 5 to 9, we start to see temperatures more generally beginning to lift up. So by day 6 to 10, it's looking warmer than average then across the whole of the UK. Most of Europe is coming out warmer than average also, and this continues into the more extended range. So, for example, days 8 to 12 with the temperature anomaly widely warmer than average for UK and Ireland included in that. So it's showing that little cooler dip that's coming up around the middle part of the week, where it goes a bit cooler, especially for England and Wales, with chance of some quite cold nights. But overall, looking at generally quite a warm spell coming up, not just for UK, but for most parts of Europe. As far as precipitation anomalies are concerned, these are the days 1 to 7. Precipitation anomalies. So looking really dry for the UK and for Ireland too in those yellow colours, so significantly drier than average, as it is for most parts of northern Europe, to be fair. Looks like the precipitation is in the south and the southeast of Europe. So a bit of a northwest southeast split in terms of the precipitation anomalies. Excuse me, once again. Asthma's playing up a little bit today, probably due to the pollen. So, just have a quick look at the GFS then. We've got high pressure reaching through the country on Friday, and we keep that high pressure dominating into the weekend as well. There's a little bit of a weakness down in the southeast, so that might be generating some showers for parts of East Anglia and southeast England. Overall, high pressure, however, is in control, so we expect a large amount of dry weather at the end of the week and into next weekend as well. And this continues into the early part of next week. Plenty of ridging through the country from the Atlantic, going up to that big high pressure sitting over Scandinavia. Again, you'll notice there are little weaknesses close to the south and the southeast. These little kinks and elongations in the isobars are probably little troughs. There may even be a weather front in that sort of zone. So perhaps not quite as settled for the far southeast as it might at first appear. But even so, I reckon plenty of dry weather for the end of the week. Weekend and into next week as well. We go up to day 10, and that's how we look. High pressure continues to be ridging from the Atlantic through the UK and going up to northern parts of Europe, and as goes the extended range, just keeping a lot of anticyclonic influences going, really. This is bank holiday Monday, for example, Monday 28th of May, 348 hours away, so it's a long way off, but still that ongoing sort of ridginess that's in the Azores just there, and then extending the ridge through the UK and going up into Scandinavia as well. But jet stream, therefore, is pushed off up there, and we're generally bringing in quite warm air from an east or a southeasterly direction. If this was summer, this would be a prolonged hot spell that we'd be looking at here. If this was a couple of months on into July or August, this would be like a couple of weeks of really hot weather. Actually, the East MDF looks like that. So again, high pressure is dominating for the end of the week. We keep those anticyclonic influences going through the weekend, and then into next week tries to get a bit more unsettled. So we saw it on the anomaly flow charts. These areas of low pressure in the Atlantic are just a little bit closer to us with the East MDF, so they are bringing an influence into the west, possibly some showery rain there, but essentially it's still this high pressure that's dominating over Scandinavia, and most places are still relatively dry and quite warm with those southeasterly winds. Up to day 10, that's how we look, with high pressure continuing to be ridging to our south and also to the east. It is a bit more unsettled up to the north and the west. So a lot of high pressure influences in the next week to 10 days. And this could continue even longer than that. So this CFS V2, 500 millibar height anomalies broke down to weekly periods. First week's period taking us from the 14th to the 20th of May. The coming week has this ridge over Scandinavia and also extending through the UK into the Atlantic. Low pressures up there with the jet stream. So again, plenty of dry weather coming up in the week ahead. Notice the below average heights with the low pressure down across southern southeastern parts of Europe. We saw it on the precipitation anomalies. That's where the rainfall is going in the week ahead down into the south, and particularly the southeast of Europe. We go through to week 2, which is the 21st, 27th of May. Again, above average heights over Scandinavia and extending into the UK. Below average heights pushed out to the northwest. The jet stream goes up there. So perhaps the jet stream's a little bit closer to the north and the west of the country in this week. Maybe a slightly more unsettled week for the north and west. But again, essentially, it really is high pressure that is in control. And whilst there will be complications, as always, there might be little troughs popping up at short notice just to spoil things and increase the risk of showers at times. Overall, it's high pressure that's in control. And then this goes on into week 3. Look at this. This is the 28th of May through to the 3rd of June. Again, with above average heights almost centred over the top of the British Isles, and below average heights again pushed out towards Greenland and Iceland. So that's where the jet stream's going to be. Again, you expect a lot of dry weather to be coming through there. And finally, we go through to week 4, which is the 4th through to the 10th of June. The above average height centred over Scandinavia, but still that idea, but it's extending a bit of a ridge through the UK and into the Atlantic. We have got below average heights across southern Europe, so that might be starting to threaten a thundery breakdown from the south, perhaps. And of course, with high pressure centred over Scandinavia, by this point we'll probably starting to bring some really quite hot air from southern and southeastern parts of Europe as well. So while this is going on, as we get further towards the summer, actually we've gone into summer by this point, into early June, of course these east to southeasterly winds will become hotter as the continent heats up. So that could be quite hot actually by that point, but maybe threatening thunder from the south. It's all looking very, very anticyclonic for the next few weeks, I have to say. A lot of high pressure dominating. And of course, if this goes on into the summer, we will get, from this kind of pattern, very warm weather. So is this setting us up for a hot summer? Or on the other side of it, is this our summer? And is it all going to start deteriorating as we get into the summer itself? That happens very regularly. I'm not saying it'll happen this year, but always have to keep that at the back of your mind, that we can get extended runs of high pressure through this sort of point of the year, because the Atlantic is always at its weakest anyway now. But it can be a very different story when you get through to the actual summer itself. So we'll worry about that, of course. We've got the summer forecast going up in a couple of weeks, but worry about that when we get closer to the time. For the next weeks, definitely high pressure is more or less dominating, and it looks like this is going to go on for quite some time. So expect a significantly drier than average May, and I would have thought a significantly warmer than average May is now very much on the cards as well. Right, that's all for now. Later on, we'll have a look at a couple of those festivals that's coming up over the bank holiday weekend. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.